The fake neighborhood watch report arrived on a Tuesday morning, stamped with official Pine Meadows HOA letterhead, and signed by someone I'd never heard of. I'm Jared Hernandez, 34 years old, and I've spent the last 6 years developing logistics networks for regional distribution centers. My work requires precision, attention to detail, pattern recognition. Skills that served me well when I bought my Colonial at 847 Maple Ridge Drive in Pine Meadows, Foxbend, New Hampshire, 3 years ago. The report claimed my weekend guests were conducting suspicious activities in my driveway. It referenced Section 4.7 of the Residential Community Standards, demanding immediate cessation of unauthorized commercial vehicle parking. My brother's Honda Civic was apparently now a commercial vehicle. I read the document twice. The formatting looked correct. Official HOA seal in the upper right corner. Reference number NW2024084703 in the footer. But something felt wrong. I'd never received a neighborhood watch report before. Didn't even know we had an active watch program. The Pine Meadows Community Guidelines mentioned it in passing, but I'd assumed it was dormant like most HOA initiatives. The signature belonged to Eva Morgan, listed as Neighborhood Watch Coordinator. I'd lived here 3 years, attended every annual meeting, served on the landscaping committee. Never heard that name. I pulled out my laptop and opened the Pine Meadows resident directory. No Eva Morgan listed. I checked the HOA board roster from last month's newsletter. Not there either. My phone buzzed. Text from my neighbor John Morgan across the street. Got a weird HOA letter today. You? I walked to my front window. John stood in his driveway holding an identical document. Same letterhead. Same format. Different complaint. His report accused him of excessive noise violations during evening hours. John worked night shifts at the hospital. His house stayed quiet as a library. I grabbed my keys and crossed the street. John handed me his letter without a word. The signature matched mine exactly. Eva Morgan, Neighborhood Watch Coordinator. You know anyone named Eva Morgan? I asked. Never heard of her. John folded his arms. But look at this reference number. I compared the documents. His read NW2024062307. Mine was NW2024084703. The middle numbers matched our house addresses exactly. Someone's targeting specific houses, John said. I studied the letterhead more carefully. The HOA logo looked perfect. Color saturation matched official documents. Even the microtext around the border appeared authentic. But the paper felt different. Slightly thicker than standard HOA correspondence, the kind of premium stock you'd buy at an office supply store. We need to call the HOA office, I said. John shook his head. Already tried. They're closed until Thursday. Some kind of system upgrade. I walked back to my house and pulled out every HOA document I'd received in 3 years. Board meeting minutes. Assessment notices. Violation warnings for my trash cans. All printed on standard 20-pound copy paper with a slightly gray tint. These reports use bright white 24-pound paper. Professional grade. Someone had invested time and money into making these look authentic. This wasn't a prank. It was calculated. I opened my laptop and searched the New Hampshire Secretary of State Business Database. No registered business for Eva Morgan in Foxbend. No professional licenses. No public records. Eva Morgan didn't exist. But someone wanted us to think she did. Someone with access to HOA letterhead. Someone who knew our exact addresses. Someone who understood HOA procedures well enough to forge convincing documentation. I checked my security camera footage from the past week. Nothing unusual. No unfamiliar vehicles. No strangers walking the neighborhood. The reports had appeared in our mailboxes overnight. No postmark. Hand-delivered. Someone in Pine Meadows was running a harassment campaign against specific residents, using fake neighborhood watch reports as cover, making it look official, making it look legitimate. I needed to find out who. And I needed to find out why they'd chosen John and me as targets. The investigation started that afternoon. The investigation required methodical documentation. I started with a timeline spreadsheet. Every suspicious incident in Pine Meadows over the past 6 months. Every complaint filed with the HOA. Every unusual visitor or service vehicle. I had moved to Pine Meadows 3 years ago after landing my position as a logistics developer for Granite State Distribution. The neighborhood felt perfect for a 34-year-old looking to build equity. Mature oak trees, well-maintained sidewalks, property values holding steady despite the market uncertainty. The HOA seemed reasonable. Monthly dues of $180 covered landscaping and snow removal. Board meetings happened quarterly. Most residents attended sporadically. Standard suburban governance. But patterns emerged when I mapped the incidents. 3 houses had received fake neighborhood watch reports in the past month. All corner lots. All with recent property improvements. All owned by residents who'd questioned HOA spending at the last board meeting. John Morgan lived at 623 Maple Ridge Drive. His fake report cited, quote, suspicious late-night visitors and, quote, possible commercial activity. He'd installed a home office addition last spring and questioned the $15,000 landscaping contract at the June board meeting. My fake report targeted my weekend guests and delivery schedules. I'd questioned the emergency assessment for sidewalk repairs that seemed unnecessary. The timing wasn't coincidental. I needed access to official HOA records, board meeting minutes, financial statements, vendor contracts, the kind of documentation that would show who had access to letterhead and resident information. The HOA management company operated from a strip mall office in downtown Fox Bend. Pinnacle Property Services handled 12 neighborhood associations across Rockingham County. Their website listed standard services, dues collection, violation enforcement, vendor coordination, board support. I called Wednesday morning. The receptionist confirmed their system upgrade would continue through Friday. No access to resident files or board communications until Monday. Can you verify if Eva Morgan is registered as a neighborhood watch coordinator? I asked. I need to check our database. Can you call back next week? The delay felt intentional. Someone wanted time to cover their tracks. I drove to Fox Bend City Hall instead. Public records didn't require system upgrades. The clerk's office maintained property records, business licenses, and municipal violations. Everything searchable by address or owner name. The property records showed standard information, lot dimensions, assessment values, transfer dates. Nothing unusual for 623 Maple Ridge Drive or 847 Maple Ridge Drive. But the business license database reveals something interesting. Marcus Chen had registered Neighborhood Security Solutions LLC 6 months ago. Business address listed as 891 Maple Ridge Drive, 2 houses down from mine. Marcus Chen. I knew that name. He'd introduced himself at the spring block party. Friendly guy. Mid-40s. Said he worked in private security consulting. Mentioned his partnership with someone in property management. I'd seen him talking with Eva Morgan from the HOA board multiple times. They seemed to know each other well. Professional relationship, I'd assumed. The pieces started connecting. Marcus had access to security industry resources. Eva had access to HOA systems and letterhead. Together, they could create convincing fake documentation. But I needed proof. Speculation wouldn't hold up under scrutiny. I spent Thursday evening walking the neighborhood. Casual reconnaissance. Checking mailboxes for any additional fake reports. Looking for patterns in targeted houses. Marcus Chen's house sat on a premium corner lot. New BMW in the driveway. Professional landscaping. Security cameras covering every angle. The kind of setup that suggested significant income. His business registration listed, quote, residential security consulting and threat assessment services, vague enough to cover almost anything, including neighborhood surveillance and resident profiling. I found John Morgan working in his garage Friday evening. He'd been documenting everything, too. Photos of the fake report, screenshots of HOA communications, a detailed log of suspicious activities. I think I know who's behind this, I said. I showed him the business registration for Neighborhood Security Solutions. Explained the connection between Marcus Chen and Eva Morgan. The timing of the fake reports with our board meeting questions. Makes sense, John said. Eva's been pushing for increased security services at every board meeting. Wants to hire outside consultants for neighborhood watch coordination. Marcus Chen's company? Probably. She never mentioned specific vendors, but the timing fits. We needed concrete. Something that would prove Marcus and Eva were working together to create fake harassment reports. Something that would show financial motivation. The answer came from an unexpected source. John's teenage daughter had been documenting neighborhood activities for a school project on suburban sociology. Her photojournal included dozens of candid shots from the past 3 months. One photo showed Marcus Chen and Eva Morgan meeting in the Pine Meadows Community Center parking lot. Date stamp: 2 days before the first fake neighborhood watch report appeared. They were exchanging documents and what looked like payment. Another photo showed Marcus taking pictures of my house from his car. Date stamp: the day before my fake report was delivered. Professional camera with telephoto lens, the kind used for surveillance documentation. Your daughter's been accidentally conducting surveillance, I told John. She's got more photos on her phone. Want to see them? The phone contained a treasure trove of Kanyemnor. Marcus Chen photographing multiple houses. Eva Morgan making late-night visits to the community center. The two of them meeting regularly in locations away from board meetings. Most damning, a photo of Marcus placing documents in mailboxes at 3:47 a.m. Date stamp matched the night our fake reports appeared. We had them. Clear photographic of document delivery. Business registration showing financial motivation. Pattern of targeting residents who questioned HOA spending. But we needed one more piece. Proof that Eva Morgan was using her board position to facilitate the scheme. Access to official letterhead and resident information. I called the HOA management company Monday morning. Their systems were back online. I requested copies of all neighborhood watch reports filed in the past 6 months. We don't have any neighborhood watch reports on file, the clerk said. None at all? The Pine Meadows HOA doesn't have an active neighborhood watch program. Hasn't had one for over 2 years. Every report was fake. Marcus Chen and Eva Morgan had created an entire fictional program to justify their harassment campaign, using it to target residents who opposed increased security spending. The financial motive became clear. Eva Morgan was positioning the HOA to hire Marcus Chen's company for legitimate security services. The fake reports would create demand for professional neighborhood watch coordination. A problem and solution package. They'd chosen their targets carefully. Residents who'd questioned spending. Corner lot properties that would benefit most from security services. People who might advocate for hiring outside consultants if harassment continued. It was extortion disguised as community safety. And they'd almost gotten away with it. Tuesday morning, I drove to the Fox Bend Municipal Building. The Conflict Resolution Center occupied the second floor. Officer Taylor Martinez from the Civil Rights Division had agreed to review our quote. This is extensive documentation, she said, examining our files. Fake neighborhood watch reports constitute fraud. Using HOA letterhead for unauthorized communications violates state nonprofit regulations. I spread the photographs across her desk. Marcus Chen placing documents in mailboxes. Eva Morgan accessing the community center after hours. Business registration showing Chen's security consulting company. The financial motive is clear, Officer Martinez continued. Creating demand for services through manufactured problems. Classic fraud pattern. She photographed each piece with a department camera. Chain of custody documentation for potential prosecution. The HOA management company had provided written confirmation that no neighborhood watch program existed. We'll need recorded confrontation, she said. New Hampshire is a one-party consent state. You can legally record conversations without their knowledge. I purchased a digital voice recorder that afternoon, Olympus WS-853, with 8 GB storage capacity. Clear audio recording up to 50 feet. I tested it in my garage, confirming voice clarity and battery life. Wednesday evening, I called Eva Morgan, requested a meeting about recent neighborhood watch concerns. She agreed to meet Thursday at the community center, 7 p.m. Bring any documentation you have about the program, I said. I want to understand the reporting process better. She hesitated. What kind of documentation? The reports filed about my property, I'd like to review them for accuracy. I'll see what I can find. Thursday arrived gray and cold. I activated the recorder before entering the community center. Eva Morgan sat at the conference table, manila folder in front of her, no documents visible. Thanks for meeting, I said, taking the opposite chair. I've been thinking about these neighborhood watch reports. What about them? The management company says no program exists, no reports on file. How do you explain that? Her composure cracked slightly. There might be administrative delays. New systems. For 6 months? That's a long delay. I placed John Morgan's daughter's photographs on the table. Marcus Chen at various houses. Eva Morgan making late-night visits. The timestamp showing 3:47 a.m. document delivery. These were taken by a neighbor, I said. Interesting timing patterns. Eva Morgan stared at the photos. Her hands trembled slightly. I don't know what you're implying. I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. Marcus Chen has been placing fake documents in mailboxes. You've been facilitating access to HOA resources, creating demand for his security services. That's ridiculous. Is it? His business registration shows security consulting. Your board position gives access to resident information and letterhead. The fake reports target people who question HOA spending. I pulled out the business registration documents. Chen Security Solutions, LLC. Registered 3 months before the first fake report appeared. Specializing in residential security assessment and neighborhood watch coordination. Eva Morgan's face went pale. You can't prove anything. Actually, I can. The management company confirmed no neighborhood watch program exists. These photos show document delivery at 3:47 a.m. Your signature appears on HOA communications authorizing the fictional program. She stood abruptly. This meeting is over. Sit down, Eva. We're not finished. The recorder captured everything. Her admission that administrative delays might explain missing reports. Her inability to deny the photographic. Most importantly, her failure to deny knowledge of Marcus Chen's activities. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to resign from the HOA board. Marcus Chen will cease all activities in Pine Meadows. All residents targeted by fake reports will receive written apologies. And if I refuse, Officer Martinez from the Civil Rights Division has reviewed our Estel. Fraud charges are being prepared. Using HOA resources for personal financial gain violates multiple state regulations. Eva Morgan sank back into her chair. How did you figure it out? Property management systems going offline was convenient timing. But you couldn't resist using official letterhead. That required board access. Only 3 people had keys to the community center after hours. Marcus needed the contract. His business was failing. So you decided to create demand through harassment. Target residents who might oppose increased security spending. Make them desperate enough to approve outside consultants. It wasn't supposed to hurt anyone. Tell that to the families you terrorized. The children afraid to play outside. The elderly residents checking locks multiple times each night. I gathered the photographs and documents. You have 48 hours to submit your resignation. Marcus Chen has 72 hours to provide written confirmation that all activities in Pine Meadows will cease. What about the other board members? John Morgan knew nothing. Neither did the treasurer. This was your operation with Chen. Your choice to abuse board access for personal gain. Eva Morgan nodded slowly. I'll resign. Good. Officer Martinez will be monitoring compliance. Any retaliation against residents will result in immediate prosecution. I left the community center with complete recorded confession. Eva Morgan admitting to creating fake reports, acknowledging Marcus Chen's failing business as motivation, confirming abuse of HOA board access for personal financial gain. Friday morning, I delivered copies of all to Officer Martinez. The recording, photographs, business documents, and HOA communications. She confirmed that formal charges would be filed if compliance wasn't achieved within the specified timeframes. This is solid, she said. Fraud, harassment, and nonprofit regulation violations, they're looking at significant penalties if they don't cooperate. Saturday afternoon, Eva Morgan's resignation letter arrived via certified mail. Effective immediately. No explanation provided to other board members beyond personal reasons. Sunday evening, Marcus Chen called. His voice was strained. I understand you want me to stop activities in Pine Meadows. That's correct. All surveillance, document delivery, and resident targeting must cease immediately. What if I just focus on legitimate security consulting? No. You've lost credibility in this community. Find clients elsewhere. This will destroy my business. You should have considered that before creating fake harassment campaigns. Your choice to commit fraud has consequences. Monday morning brought written confirmation from Chen Security Solutions. All activities in Pine Meadows would cease permanently. No future contact with residents. No solicitation of HOA contracts. I distributed copies to every household that had received fake reports. 17 families total. Each received documentation showing the reports were fraudulent. Proof that their concerns about harassment were valid. The response was immediate. Relief mixed with anger. Several residents requested copies for their own records. Others asked about pursuing individual legal action against Chen and Morgan. The Civil Rights Division is handling prosecution, I told them, but you have grounds for civil suits if you choose. Tuesday evening, the HOA held an emergency board meeting. Eva Morgan's resignation required immediate replacement. John Morgan nominated me for the vacant position. You've demonstrated commitment to transparency, he said. The board needs someone who will prioritize resident interests over personal gain. I accepted the nomination, won unanimous approval from remaining board members. My first action was implementing new oversight procedures for all HOA communications and vendor relationships. Wednesday brought final confirmation from Officer Martinez. Ava Morgan and Marcus Chen had agreed to plea arrangements, community service, and financial restitution to affected residents. No jail time, but permanent records of fraud convictions. They got off easy, I told her. Maybe. But they'll never work in HOA management or security consulting again. Professional licenses revoked. Background checks will show fraud convictions. The Pine Meadows community began healing. Children played outside again. Elderly residents stopped obsessive lock checking. The manufactured fear that Chen and Morgan had created slowly dissipated. I established new protocols for neighborhood watch programs. Any future security initiatives would require resident approval and transparent vendor selection. No more backroom deals or manufactured crises. The database I'd created during investigation proved valuable for other purposes. Tracking legitimate maintenance requests, monitoring vendor performance, and ensuring transparent communication with residents. Justice had been served through proper channels. No vigilante action required. The system worked when was properly documented and presented to appropriate authorities.